Testimony has ended in the sentencing phase of Brian Golsby's murder trial. The convicted killer could learn his fate as soon as tomorrow. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Mark Taylor.
I'm Colleen Marshall. Ellie is off tonight. A forensic psychologist testified today that Brian Golsby's upbringing was a recipe for disaster.
NBC4's Ted Hart live at the Franklin County Courthouse with our continuing coverage tonight. Ted?
Yeah, just one final witness for the defense today in the penalty phase, a psychologist who testified that the cumulative effect of all of the negative influences on Brian Golsby, especially in his early years, was almost certain to have a negative result. Brian Golsby was born into poverty, multi-generational dysfunction, a family history of alcohol abuse and violence, an abusive mother, no father figure. The list goes on. Psychologist Dr. Bob Stinson testified he's never seen a case with so many risk factors.
This is what a psychologist would draw up as a recipe for disaster. This is about as bad as it gets.
The defense is fighting now for Golsby's life. He was convicted last week of the kidnapping, robbery, rape, and murder of 21-year-old Reagan Tokes. He told detectives that in the moments before he murdered her, Reagan Tokes said, "All I want to do is live." Now it's Golsby begging for his life. He stood before the jury last Friday.
Please have mercy on me.
The defense hopes to convince jurors that Golsby's life experiences, including being raped as a 12-year-old, should be a factor in deciding whether he should be sentenced to death.
So as he was going through these experiences, his brain was literally forming differently than it would have had he been brought up in a healthy environment. And thus, the way his brain functions currently is different than it would have been had he been brought up in a healthy environment.
Now, the jurors will be asked to decide whether those mitigating factors in Brian Golsby's life outweigh the aggravating circumstances of the crimes that he committed. And if not, the law says they only have one option, and that's the death sentence. Local for you in Columbus, Ted Hart, NBC4.
Thanks so much, Ted. And you can count on NBC4 for updates from the courtroom, including the jury's recommendation. We're going to share the latest on air and online. You can also get breaking news alerts sent right to your smartphone by downloading our news app.